Good evening. I'm going to call to order, even though it feels like March. It is the May 21st, 2025 Cedarburg School Board meeting. This is a regular meeting of the Cedarburg School Board and is a public meeting. Prior notices have been placed in the district and additional copies were forwarded to the city and town of Cedarburg, as well as the news graphic and Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So annually at this time, a new structure of committee assignments and community board representatives are presented for approval. I would like to point out that we have very active working committees and they are all open to the public. In fact, the majority of the items on tonight's agenda were moved through these committees. All board members are always welcome and able to provide input if they so choose, whether a committee member or not. I recognize this structure presented tonight cannot satisfy every request for assignment, but I do believe that all 7 board members will continue to work diligently to contribute to the success our district is known for. As far as committee alternatives, they are purposely listed in alphabetical order as either member can serve as an alternate. There are no first or second alternates. In the event of a committee member's anticipated absence, a committee chair may choose to reach out to an alternate to be a substitute committee member at a meeting if needed. So at this time, I will take a motion to approve the committee structure as presented. So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'd like to propose an amendment to what is proposed with one change. And Laura, I'll send that down to you. The one change is Connie Kincaid listed as alternate for the policy committee, being changed to a member of the policy committee. Board president has a document that has rationale for this. I do have printed copies if any other board members would like to see that rationale as well. So then I have a motion to amend with one change. I will second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the change to? So you are asking to move yourself to the policy committee? Correct. I am listed currently as an alternate, which I have been listed as an alternate previously, and I would like to be changed to a member. Currently on that committee, it's board member Netzel, board member Charland, and board member Demchek. Okay, and I would like to state we did ask for input on committees, and you did mention that it didn't matter to you at what committee you would like to be put on. So I do have clarification for that wording. That isn't accurate wording, but I understand where you're coming from, which is why I'm presenting more rationale and a request that I feel is reasonable and beneficial to our district. And again, if any board members would like to see that rationale, I'm happy to provide it. Okay, is there any other discussion?
Can I ask what the rationale is? I don't have it.
Sure, here.
Yeah.
I would also say as well, anyone else would like one, let me know. Rationale for that, we have 2 board members who are on 3 committees, and Ms. Kincaid is on 1 committee. Would it be beneficial or helpful to have any of this read aloud for other members, or is it sufficient for Laura? You're seeing it. I see that Paul has it. Paul is currently slated as a member of that policy committee, as is Kate Netzel, who also has a copy, I believe. I believe it's sufficient for our members to review what's in front of them right now. Yeah. I'm not quite sure on how we could even vote on this because there's 3 members on each committee, so I guess we would have to select to take one off at this point.
Correct.
You are suggesting?
Correct.
The motion is to add her on. You could run that motion and then you can work on another secondary motion for somebody.
Okay. Does anyone have any more discussion? Okay, at this time, I'll take a vote on the motion to add Connie Kincaid onto the policy committee. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Nay. Nay. Any abstentions? Okay, the vote does not pass 2-5.
Brenda, I'd like my rationale submitted for the record, so I'll have a copy of that. That rationale will then be available for the public to see at when the minutes are available. Thank you.
That's fair, thank you. Okay, we're back to the original motion.
So I would like to amend the original motion to make a substitution and add Kate Erickson to the curriculum committee. I'll second.
Okay, can we have discussion on that?
So my request, so the community is aware, we are allowed to ask for committee placements. The only committee I asked for was the curriculum committee. And I forwarded to the board president the very specific and well-founded reasons, including my past and current work. I've been employed as a substitute K-12 special ed aide. I've been a college history professor for over 15 years, and courses I teach fulfill state teaching licensure requirements. I currently hold a 3-year term on the state superintendent's academic standard review committee, of which the state standards this district is held to. I'm currently contracted to rewrite and add to amplify CKLA while providing professional development on ELA and social studies for the Sun Prairie Area School District, a district with over 8,500 students. I am the recently re-elected president of the statewide educational association, the Wisconsin Indian Education Association, and I regularly present with the DPI statewide organizations, including CISA and school districts, on curriculum and educational policy. And in November of last year, work that I did with Wisconsin PBS Education on the Electaquinty Wisconsin Biographies collection won an Emmy for outstanding achievement for children, youth, and teen short and long form content. So I have Emmy-winning curriculum content to my name. Given these things, it's difficult to believe that committee assignments were made based on skills or expertise to best benefit the district. My qualifications in education, curriculum, and instruction are unmatched on this board, yet I have, again, been excluded from the curriculum committee. When it comes to serving as an alternate, there were 2 curriculum committee meetings last year where only 2 of the voting members of the committee were present, and the chair of the committee chose to run those meetings with only 2 board members, even though I was present at the meeting, streaming it live as an alternate. This situation is deeply frustrating and disappointing. I maintain the highest participation and attendance rates on this board and consistently work to keep our community informed on board and committee matters, although unfortunately it seems again this year those efforts seem to carry little weight in the current environment.
Is there any discussion?
I just want to add, I appreciate the contributions you made, Kate, when you come to the meetings, and I know that we all are able to come and discuss and take each other's input. And so I appreciate that, and I feel like we all had this assignment structure available to us, and we're able to make, input into where we wanted to go. I guess it's, from my point of view, it's challenging to get all the way to the meeting and then have these discussions brought up at that point. So that's all I wanted to add.
In regards to that, I did make these statements known to the board president on Friday in order to leave time for changes to be made. When it comes to those who are voting members on committees and those who are alternates, only voting members and the chair get to decide if there's public comment at meetings or if meetings will be live streamed. And even though I have served for the past 2 years as an alternate on the curriculum committee at least 2 times, that position has not been acknowledged, and I have not been allowed to serve as a voting member, even though I was an alternate. So there are issues with that. So even though, I am an alternate and I can give my input, I can't vote for chair. I'm not often recognized as an alternate that needs to step in when voting members aren't present, and I am not able to add items to agendas. So just to confirm, when we have a majority of the committee present, it's not a requirement in any committee to have an alternate be a voting member in that meeting. Is that correct? Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I would just add, the members slated for the curriculum committee are myself, which I've been a member of that committee since I started on the board in 2022. Laura, I think you have been a member since then as well. And then we have Dr. Savaji, who also has, great education and instructional background. So I think that multiple board members have things to add to different committees, and I welcome any board member to come give their input and share their expertise and feedback at any meeting, as well as, the other chairs of the committees do that as well. So it's hard to make everyone happy, but I think that the 3 people who we have on the committee right now have had value, and it's been a good functioning committee.
I guess I would also like to add, I can't think of anything since I've been on the curriculum committee that hasn't been moved, whether the votes weren't there in the committee and it was just moved to the full board for a vote. I do not think of anything that has been discussed in the committee that hasn't been moved to the full board for discussion and an ultimate vote. And that's where the vote is determined at the full board meetings.
Yeah, that's correct. So then in reality, it shouldn't matter if I'm on the committee, correct?
I didn't say that.
I specifically asked for one committee. I did not ask for either committee that I was assigned to. I just want to make that abundantly clear.
And I did have more than, I had multiple people ask for that committee. And again, I do value everyone's input, and I hope we can all work together, to work for the benefit of the school district. So is there any other discussion at this time?
Could you remind me what, are we on that motion with the second?
Yes, we are on the amendment to add Kate Erickson to the curriculum committee. So is there any further discussion? All those in favor in adding Kate Erickson to the curriculum committee?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Any abstentions? The amendment does not pass 2-5. We do have a motion and a second on the original approval of the school committee assignments as presented. Is there any further discussion on that?
I did have questions for the negotiations committee as it is listed currently. For members of the public, I was previously on the negotiations committee. I've been moved to an alternate on that committee. As was stated previously, I am currently on one committee, which meets a few times during the year, and those actions go to then another committee, Personnel and Finance, which then goes to the board. So while I recognize that there's many board members, I do think it is interesting, is the word I will choose, that I have been removed from a negotiations committee, placed as an alternate, and with that said, going back to negotiations specifically, we as a board approved the meeting times for each of our committees, and negotiations is not a committee that's listed on that document. And I believe, individuals can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was discussion during public times as to what the merit is of having a negotiations committee structured in this way. So I would like to understand
why the committee is structured the way it is presently. And if we are in any issue with having approved a committee schedule with negotiations committee not being on that on that committee schedule.
I think the reason there are no dates on the schedule is because there is not an agreement as to when the committee will get together with the union, as if they would like to wait until there is a budget finalized. Am I correct on that? So that is the answer to that.
So that answers the timeliness. I suppose if this were to pass as it is, what options are there for any board members that choose not to serve on a committee?
I believe in policy, any board member can choose to elect to serve not on one committee.
And it does not preclude them from serving on another.
Correct.
Thank you. I would just make so I didn't have a motion on that one. I had questions for clarification. What I would say is there are two typos in this document, one being Dr. Salvaggio's last name under curriculum committee, and one being the word alphabetical is incorrectly spelled. If we could just have those quick edits. Brenda, not to put you on the spot, I just saw it now, but I would appreciate that document being amended before it is submitted. Thank you.
Thank you. We will be sure to make those edits. Any other discussion? Then I will take a vote on,
I apologize, Laura. I did have one more question.
okay.
Thank you for your patience, board members. I printed off all these copies for you, and now I just got to get to the questions here. So I believe it's been explained during discussion the differences between a committee member and a committee alternate by Ms. Erickson. Just to confirm so that I'm understanding this correctly, again, fellow board members, please correct me if I'm wrong. For the committee assignments as they are, individuals that are listed as alternates only have voting abilities if a member is not present. Only a chair has the option to allow public comment during those meetings. A quorum for each of these right now, we have 3 individuals as listed for each committee. A quorum of those members would be 2. So as long as 2 individuals are present for each of those meetings, those committees can proceed. What I am hearing in addition at the table is that there will be an effort to also acknowledge when alternates are present and allow them to participate, even though they may not necessarily be quote unquote needed for a vote. Is that accurate? And did I catch everything?
No,
What part am I missing?
had more.
No, that's it, Laura. That was the last part.
Yeah, and tell me if I don't answer, if anyone else wants to add input. At any committee meeting, any board member is able to provide input if they so like. So they don't have to be a committee member or an alternate. We have very, I think, productive working meetings, and anyone is welcome. If a committee chair, chooses in advance to have an alternate at the meeting, she or he feels that she will need an alternate, she can arrange ahead of time to include an alternate, invite an alternate as a voting member at that committee meeting. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that portion does.
Okay.
I think what I would like everyone at this table to recognize, and perhaps even the community to recognize, is that these are not evenly split committee assignments by any means. They are not. I am more than capable and happy to serve in any, which is why my wording was that I would defer to your judgment. Quite frankly, in deferring to a board president's judgment, I did not expect to be removed from a committee and be a longer tenured board member who is now serving on less committees. So I feel for myself that I offered a willingness of, hey, I can serve in any one of these, but I am disappointed that it was your decision to remove me from a committee, and it doesn't sound like those other board members who are unhappy with their committee assignments. So 5 of 7 people are happy. I think that's reasonable to say at this point. And I will continue doing my best to attend meetings. Both Kate Erickson and I have very high attendance, very high participation rates. And I fully understand that we are able to do that. It would just be nice to be recognized as a member of a committee, not an alternate of a committee. Those are my final thoughts. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And I would just like to acknowledge, I really truly believe all is new, but all 6 of the board members who have served prior to this meeting have worked very, very hard and really, come to the meetings prepared to ask questions, to work behind the scenes. And I truly appreciate every board member's work here.
One final clarifying question. So when looking at these committee assignments, then when we are looking at quorums and noticing of quorums, if 2 of the 3 voting members of these committees are together outside of their committees, is that considered a noticeable quorum? Because the fact that the committees are not evenly assigned would certainly cause issues if people are together outside of those committees.
I mean, I think that situation has existed forever in time because there's been three people on a committee. So what are you saying? Like for instance, when you 2 were on the same committee last year, if you 2 were together, that would have been a quorum? I'm confused as to your question.
That is my question. And negotiations, for the public, negotiations committee is there essentially in name. I served as chair of negotiations and wasn't allowed to run the meetings as I saw fit, and meetings were redone. So essentially the negotiations committee acts at the direction of the full board. They are not allowed to vote and make any decisions. They are just allowed to present to the teachers. So that committee is definitely different than other committees who are making decisions and submitting recommendations to the board. The negotiations committee receives its directive and carries it out.
Now, I will guess we'll have to follow up with legal to answer the question about 2 people.
Well, the clarification on there is that it is quorum for a committee. What it does mean, though, is that no 2 committee members can talk about anything related to the committee outside of a committee meeting. And so, whereas from a full board where there's 7, 2 board members can talk outside of this structure. In a committee meeting or a committee setup like this, no 2 committee members can have any discussions related to things in their committee.
And that has always been the case that we've, adopted, I believe. So any further discussion? So we do have a motion and a second to approve the school board committee structure and special assignment proposal. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? No. So the vote passes 5-2. Abstentions? Are there any abstentions? I thought I heard everyone say aye, so thank you. So at this point, Jaredon, or do you, I think.
Right, Mr. Jett goes to Kate.
I'll move it to Kate for recognition.
So the state of Wisconsin has declared the following proclamations. May 2nd is School Lunch Hero Day. May 7th, Mental Health Awareness Day. May 7th is also National School Nurse Day. May 5th through 9th is Teacher Appreciation Week. May 1st through 31st, Mental Health Awareness Month. And one that I enjoy as a speech pathologist, May 1st through 31st is also National Speech Language Hearing Month. All proclamations are available on the district board docs webpage.
Thank you. Dr. Clark?
All right, with regard to the consent agenda, board members, I ask that you approve the minutes from the regular board meeting on April 28, 2025, the budget and finance report, which includes the summary of account, check register, check detail, and credit card transaction reports, and the personnel report. Mr. DeRosa, Director of Human Resources, will provide a brief overview of the personnel report.
Mr. DeRosa, before you begin, can I just ask Board President that we vote on these items separately, A, B, and C?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's the case, go ahead and just do A and then do B and then
Okay.
Tony up later, proceed.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the April 28, 2025 school board meeting.
I motion to approve the minutes.
I will second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this regular school board meeting minutes from April 28, 2025. All those in favor?
Discussion?
Oh, I am sorry. Discussion, any discussion?
I wanted to just say thank you to Brenda for quickly amending. I don't know if others saw the original versus the amendment, but just for clarification, towards the end of this agenda the agenda from last month, it originally stated Ms. Kincaid presented, and I asked that it would be included that I shared a copy of the report for public record. So if you missed that and you're interested in the various activities that were going on, feel free to go back and look at that attachment. And I appreciate it being reflected in the minutes as such.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion to approve the minutes from the April 28, 2025 school board meeting passes 7-0. Thank you. So now we'll move on to the budget and finance report. Oh. I'm sorry, this is new for me. All right. I need a motion to approve the budget and finance report. So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, thank you. On page 78 of the CSD monthly board report workbook, which is an attachment that anyone in the community can open up if you're looking into the agendas. The workbook lists many different things. Towards the end there is charges from the district office. One is listed School Board Summit PD. One is listed School Board Summit EC. And I believe there was one more charge somewhere, but not on that page, for another school board summit expense that headed towards what is listed as WILL Inc. Middletown. I can't read the rest, but it's in there. I wasn't sure if community members would know what that would be referring to. The school board summit, for those that attended, are you interested in sharing what that is for? What the school board summit was for?
So that line is referring to Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty School Board Summit. I did ask if that could be added to the committee delegate representative liaison reports, to give an update on that or just a report on that. And it was determined to just leave it with the reports for that part of the agenda, just being on as it has been done with, the CISA or WASB type reports for that. So that answers your question.
It does not, but can I just, for further understanding here, the wording towards the end of our agenda, which we're not there yet, but there is no wording that is specific to an individual board member attending any kind of professional development. That is something that I brought up and asked specifically about, so it would open the floor for individuals to share those kind of items. That is not how the agenda is written right now. With that said, my question was in relation to this specific event, what it was. So I heard what the entity is, but I'm asking about the summit itself.
So, maybe Laura or Jared, is it noticed in the agenda to be explaining a professional development, conference type event like that? It's not given here as a report, and I want to make sure I'm sticking with the agenda.
Yeah, no.
You were there as well.
A board member can ask for clarification on any of the budgetary items since it was pulled out of consent. So, we can, so the board member can provide explanation on it.
So it was a school board summit. It was a place where any board member in the state of Wisconsin could attend a summit. It was a meeting where they had presenters on school safety, technology in schools, variety of topics.
Are there any further details being offered than that?
I think that's pretty sufficient, and Elizabeth Charlotte, she did ask to give a report on it, and I declined. This is a long agenda, and I felt we are expanding item 8 on the board agenda to include the liaison reports.
And the liaison report, though, for clarification, is our city liaison. We do not have something else than that.
Representative, anything other, in the past, then this has always been committee reports, and we've expanded it because we do have 4 positions on the structure that we did not discuss that people, you are a WASB representative and 3 other positions. And so we have expanded our agenda to include reports when a school board member engages in activity, but that was it was more or less, I look at it as somewhat continuing education, if that is the proper word. So I declined not to include that in the agenda, but I feel we've discussed this sufficiently.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. What I will state is my understanding is that, 1, I serve as WASB delegate. There is a CISA representative, and there is a city liaison. There is not a separate role where individual committee members, board members can speak to their professional development. That is, however, something I've asked about adding for the past 2 years, so that would open up the floor for people to share things that they've been working on. So just so you have an understanding of that language, I was very surprised to see this in our workbook here. In all honesty, that it sounds like the board member that attended, at least one of the board members, I believe PD stands for your attendance there as well, correct? Okay, so there was at least 2 board members and our superintendent. I don't see any other names on here, but I don't know if anyone else attended this. For the individuals who might not be familiar with it, this is an education summit where invitations were sent to candidates when they were running for office and school board members. School board members receive invitations from a lot of different entities to attend a lot of different things. And for this particular one, when I reviewed the sessions, there is a very large overlap in the session topics and what is already covered on our WASB complimentary membership that every board member can log in and listen to. We also, as a district, spent funds on a presentation and training that is available to all board members. So while I don't necessarily have an issue with some of these topics that I brought up, school and safety fireside chat. No, what I'm saying is there's many different topics for this. If people want to look it up, you can. will-law.org/edsummit2025 /. Anyway, when I received this on in my board email and noticed the sponsors, that is what really, I just thought, there's no way I could even sign up for this because many people in our community would not feel comfortable with this. So district funds have gone now to Will, who put on an Ed Summit that had sponsors largely, for instance, 1848 Project, Freedom Foundation, Defending Education, Leadership Institute, where conservative leaders are made. This isn't non-part. This I'm floored by this. I spend so much time doing my best to make sure any professional development I do is not costing our district money and no one has cause to complain about it. And to just kind of be like, okay, well, I guess it's fine to spend $175 here, $175 here, $175 here, and there not be any kind of acknowledging that this particular education summit, it's not an entity that has public education at the forefront, and we are a public school board. So yes, there's a reason I pulled this out of consent agenda, so that it would have the ability to have board discussion. That is how that process works.
So, Connie, there were members at this event from pretty much every school district in the area that I can think of. It wasn't something where it was just 3 people from the Cedarburg School District attending this event. And I frankly think it's rather naive to think that this event had a point of view or a certain lens that it viewed education towards, and that WASB does not. I think it's naive to think that WASB is completely middle of the road, no point of view, no lens that they're seeing education through, and this event did. I think that both of the groups could be seen as coming from 2 different lenses, and frankly, I'm happy that we have board members that have gone to some, professional development, some, additional learning from different points of view, and I think that represents our community in a positive way. So I don't think it's appropriate to keep hashing this out as part of this finance report. I don't think the agenda is suiting itself for a lengthy discussion on it, but I did want to just add that.
I don't appreciate being called naive. I spend several hours. There is no point in time where I do not come to a board meeting prepared. There is a reason I pulled this out of consent agenda. There is a reason I am asking these questions. This is a public school board.
Okay.
You are welcome to have your opinions. I am welcome to have mine. That is the purpose of discussion at this table.
Okay, any further discussion?
I agree that it is extremely disappointing that school district funds went to this entity. I attended the WASB conference and I presented and I paid for my own registration. I would see no issue with a board member choosing to attend a clearly partisan event, funding their own way. I do, however, disagree that district money is being used to facilitate that.
All right, any further discussion? Did we have a motion and a second on the budget?
Yes.
Yes, all right. I will, then let's vote to approve the budget and finance report. All those in favor? Do we still have the personnel report? Don't we have to do each of these separately? So, I wasn't clear, I asked if we did, not.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway,
It's fine.
All
Sorry.
those in favor of the budget, approving the budget and finance report? Aye. Aye. Any opposed?
opposed.
Any abstentions? The report passes 5-2. Thank you. So now,
Yeah, personnel, all right. Provide us a little update on the personnel report.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Clark. This evening, we are seeking board approval regarding the following separations from the district. Aaron Sellers, second grade at Parkview, is resigning. Patrick Hamill, special ed teacher at CHS, is resigning, and Sam Stryker, special ed teacher at Parkview, is resigning. And two staff members that I would like to just say a few extra words about. First is Mr. Gersh. Greg Gersh is retiring from the school district. He has been just amazing at Webster. He has 38 years in education, 20 years in the school district, and to his credit, I think he thinks he has the longest running club/activity, which is game club at Webster. Has been running every Friday for, I can't even tell you, probably 20 years. And so I want to wish Mr. Gersh a great retirement. And then our colleague, Kirsten Collins, she has been in the district for 16 years, 13 years as the tech director, and she's retiring from the school district as well. Congratulations, Kristen. Would you like me to continue? Go on.
sure.
Okay. Seeking contract approvals for the following individuals. Kristen Mickey, English teacher at CHS, going to 50% FTE. Jeff Maves, social studies teacher at CHS, going to 50%. Laura Screws, second grade at Thorson, and Kevin LaRoche, special ed teacher at Webster. And then lastly, Megan Manning is a sixth grade ELA teacher at Webster, transferring to the vacancy we have in eighth grade ELA.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion?
I know it's not available for the public, but just I appreciate the additional information being added as requested for some of those to be able to make a vote appropriately at the table. I want to say thank you to Mr. Gersh and Ms. Collins. It was bittersweet to see names on here, but thank you again for the extra information, and thank you to those that are reading, and welcome to those who are coming on board.
I would briefly add to that, worked with Kirsten quite a bit on my time on the board here, and she's just been outstanding. Everything she does with technology, but specifically as a board member, the work that she did on the data privacy agreements, and just tremendous work keeping student data safe with all of the different apps and technology that's used, and that's really been unique to this district. So thank you. Happy retirement.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add, sad to see Mr. Gersh go. My daughter was lucky enough to have him this year, and I know he will be missed. She was one of her favorite teachers. And it's going to be really hard to replace you, Kirsten. Incredibly hard. If we can find someone with half of the abilities you have, I think we'll be extremely lucky. So sad to see you go, but well deserved.
My memory of being on the board in my first admin meeting was with you ironing on things for the girls in STEAM, was it? So that will stick with me. All the extras, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the personnel report of new hires resignation?
I guess you need a motion, sorry. I let you straight.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel report of new hires, resignations, and or retirements?
So moved. I will reluctantly second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, and again, I concur with all the other statements about Kirsten, and it's been a pleasure to work with Kirsten. Kirsten and I actually started working together back in like 1998, 1999 as math teachers back at Homestead High School many years ago, so she will definitely be missed. Moving on to the superintendent's report, this evening we have the privilege to hear from our elementary green squad. So I will turn it over to Ms. Ramos, who will start leading that process.
There you go. I feel like I have an entourage. It's not about me, really. Thank you for joining us this evening, everybody. We're so excited to present a little bit of the work that the elementary green squads do and give a little bit of background about what the heck is a green squad and how did it come to be, because it's pretty awesome. And we have one at every elementary school, and these friends behind me are going to give you some of the highlights. I'm going to give you just a little bit of the background. So we used to have a River Edge Scientist and Residence partnership. It started several years ago where River Edge partnered with different school districts and sort of had a consultation relationship to help develop and maintain outdoor learning opportunities and environmental science things in districts. So we were a part of that partnership for several years, and the goal was sort of to establish a foundation and then slowly, gradually release the power and the sort of oversight back to the buildings. Fortunately, our green squads were awesome and developed out of that River Edge partnership and started as a committee of parents and teachers in 2020 and really
really grew. So the curriculum and instruction department had budgeted for some small tools and things for the Green Squads for the first couple of years of their inception, but then the Green Squad just started to grow and grow at each school and develop their own fundraisers and service learning projects within the schools to be able to kind of maintain and sustain as well as grow some of our outdoor learning spaces. So we have now, if you want to go to the next slide, Miss Brenda. Oh, I have the clicker. Never mind. You don't have to do anything, Brenda. So these are the teammates that are most instrumental at each of the 3 elementary schools. Obviously, they ebb and flow, and some of these folks, if we listed everybody who ever came to a Green Squad meeting, it would be 17 slides. So we're very, very fortunate that these are the folks that really carry the load and keep this Green Squad going and do a lot of the work. So we have regular Green Squad meetings at every building, and really we have turned into embracing our spaces. There's no one size fits all. Person has a prairie, we have a woods at West Lawn. So given that the areas and the backyards and the spaces that we have outdoors are different, we've been able to do some different things with those spaces, and we're really excited to share that with you, especially the kids. So I'm going to turn it over to Parkview to talk about some of their Green Squad activities.
All right, good evening. Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to share, as Mrs. Ramos said, all of the ways that we use our outdoor spaces. Before I introduce our guest speakers for Parkview, I just want to give a little bit of an overview of our outdoor spaces at Parkview. So we have our registered school forest that has a number of trails that go in the forest, and so we use them in a number of different ways throughout the school year, but a very popular way that we use that space is with our haunted trails during our Dad's Club Spooktacular in October. And I believe at the beginning of the school year or late summer, actually, some of our Green Squad members partnered with our PTO to revamp and revitalize our outdoor learning space that we call our Ben Kins Center. And so that area was cleaned up, and our PTO purchased some new benches for that area. And so that's a space where students can come outside with their classes and learn, or we invite parents to come. Our 3rd grade poetry and punch that has historically taken place in the Ben Kins Center is very popular. So without further ado, I would love to introduce our guest speakers for Parkview. So Parkview students Layla and Emmett, along with their mom, Becca. And I'm going to take this off. That might be a little bit easier. Hi guys, I'm Becca Stringer. These are my kids, Layla and Emmett. I have been a parent volunteer for a couple years with the Green Squad. It's been very fun. I'm a lover of the outdoors, so it's a very easy thing for me to help with. As are the kids. So they want to share a little bit about Stewardship Days is going to be Emmett, and Layla's going to talk about a scavenger hunt. Are you going to go first? Okay, Layla's going to go first. I'm going to hold this.
Hi, my name is Layla. I'm a 4th grader at Parkview. This year, my whole grade went on a winter scavenger hunt in the forest behind Parkview with our 4K buddies. We had a visual list to follow, and we were looking for things like animal prints in the snow and mud, different types of leaves, branches with thorns, pine cones, berries, and woodpecker holes. We also listened for bird calls, too. There were touch stations set up for us to explore with animal pets and bones. The activity was fun and helped us notice some really neat things hiding in the forest. I'm glad that we get to participate in these fun outdoor learning activities that the Green Squad sets up. It is always important to spend time outside, and Parkview has an amazing opportunity.
I can hold this for you.
Hi, my name is Emmett, and I am a 1st grader at Parkview. I wanted to talk about Stewardship Day. Me and my classmates worked together to spread mulch along the paths of the school forest. We also picked up garbage that should have been in the forest. Some of the older kids pulled burdock and garlic mustard this year. It feels good to take care of the forest. I'm glad we do this because then we will have a nice forest to explore and enjoy. I also like these days because it is fun to be outside.
Hi, I'm Peggy Beaver. I am a paraprofessional at Thorson and a member of the grade squad. This past May, we and the Cedarburg Fire Department conducted a controlled burn of the prairie section of our forest. And Thorson alumni Fire Chief Andy Heidke, he orchestrated the burn, and the reason for doing this is to control the invasive species and regenerate the native plants in the area. So we in the Green Squad are really excited about all the opportunities that we have to engage students in the outdoors. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elise. I'm a third grader, and this is my kindergarten friend named Anna. We are a classroom buddy, and we get together a few times through the year to work on a fun activity together. We are here to talk to you about a buddy activity we did this year for a PBIS celebration. We built critter homes. We met our buddies in the outdoor classroom for the start of this activity. We all talked about the native animals in Wisconsin and what they would use to make their homes in the winter. Then each group got a picture of their animal, and we went into the sugar bush to start gathering leaves, twigs, pine needles, rocks, and branches. We worked together to build a home for our animal. We had to think about their size, how they moved, and what materials would be available for them in order to build their home. When we were done building, we then got to explain our critter homes to the big group. We also got to go and look at the homes everyone else built. We had so much fun exploring, discovering, and learning together with our buddies. It was such a fun challenge. We loved it.
Hi, I'm Sarah Pionic, Elisa's mom, and I have a couple other kids that have attended Thorson and still there, and I'm also a member of the Green Squad committee for a couple of years now. And so one of the other activities that is really unique to Thorson, I think, is the maple sugaring event that kind of happens. I know my kids are always excited about it. We have really great former educators, Stu Ham, that comes and educates to all the classes. He comes and gives a very personalized lesson, from K4 to 5th grade, and really kind of talks to them about the whole process, identifying the trees, how everything works. And I feel like just as a mom who has a 6th grader, a 3rd grader, and a K4 student, like every year I'm always hearing something a little bit different that they're taking away from it, whether it's their interest or just their curiosity or something that they've learned about the process that's a little bit different. So even though it's something that happens, that we're fortunate to happen fairly regularly, it's great to kind of see that they're kind of taking something away each time it happens. So once Stu gives his lesson, he also takes the classes out to our forest, and they get to tap a maple tree. And so that's fun and exciting. You just kind of see the process. And then our Green Squad, our building lead, Kelly Papke, who isn't here, but she then kind of coordinates the collection of the maple syrup. And so we do that process over a couple of weeks. And once that's been established, then she actually does all the boiling of the syrup or the sap to make the syrup. And so when that stage is finally complete, Stu comes back and kind of, again, presents and to each of the classes and does really fun, engaging. There's a taste test, there's figuring out what it is, and then you get to sample the syrup, and he always makes a fun, there's a pancake, but he loves pancakes with a pickle, so it's a fun way to kind of have a taste at the end of kind of seeing the whole process from start to finish. So, thank you.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Kazanowski, and I have been with the Green Squad, working with Robin and the other team members since it began in 2020. At West Lawn, we are very fortunate to have woods that we share with the city and with Faith Lutheran Church, who is our neighbor. So our woods are very large, even if our portion of it is small, and we have used some of the land from Faith Lutheran and the city, developing trails throughout it. At West Lawn, we have been fortunate to begin developing our woods with Story Stroll, something that came from River Edge and we wanted to make permanent. So with the help of a CEF grant that was written by our own Robin Carpenter, we were approved to install permanent Story Stroll posts throughout our woods. This allows us to put laminated materials, stories, kids' artwork, poems, in our woods for our students to walk through and see, much like you would at a nature center. Our next improvement in the woods is pictured on the slides you'll see. This is our learning space. So there is an older learning space in our woods already. Sanders Circle for our previous principal, PJ Sanders, has wood logs. It's a beautiful circle with our character traits, but it only fits one class. So in order to allow a full grade, which for us is 2 classes, to utilize the woods at the same time, we cleared an open space utilizing Faith Lutheran's land, and we installed these polywood tables in bright nature colors, and these tables seat 8 students each. With 4 tables, that's 32 students, so enough for a full class plus a teacher and a few aides. We can then rotate between these spaces when we have classrooms out here. I'm also the current outgoing president of the PTO, and with that partnership, we've been able to build a really great relationship with our Green Squad and PTO. So to purchase this learning space, it was funded through a PTO grant, through a grant from Faith Lutheran's Trust, and a generous donation from Amish Craftsman Guild. And then to sustain this throughout its lifespan, as well as the Story Stroll, PTO has dedicated one of our fundraisers to earmark those funds specifically for Green Squad. So for us, the most logical fundraiser was the MUMS fundraiser that every elementary school does in fall. Our MUMS funds are earmarked for Green Squad so that they can be used to purchase materials for our Earth Day celebrations, sustain book purchases throughout the woods. We purchased 2 copies of the books to put them in the woods, as you have to deconstruct them. And the 3rd copy is donated to our school library. This way, students and teachers can check that book out ahead of time, read it so that you already know the story when you walk through, and then you can bring it back to the classroom afterwards to further discuss whatever we've put in there. It's been a great partnership, and it's allowed our Green Squad to really develop a unique spot for all of our students. And I'm going to turn this over to a young man I'm related to, and this is Ramos. Hi, what's your name?
Wesley.
Wesley, do you have the clicker, Mrs. K? Okay, thank you. There's somebody you might recognize in the middle picture. Who is that?
Me.
What are you doing in that picture?
I'm making seed balls.
So this was something we did on Earth Day in our outdoor learning spaces. And what do you do with that seed ball? Why is it helpful to the earth?
You can plant it in our yard.
Awesome. And what are some of the other activities you see happening in those outdoor spaces there? I know you have a brother there. What are they looking at?
Bones.
And do you only enjoy the outdoor learning spaces that Green Squad helps maintain during school, or do you enjoy them at other times?
Other times.
Tell me more.
When I'm in the woods, I like to read the Story Stroll, and I like to play in those forts.
That sounds pretty great. I think that sounds awesome. So, do you feel that that space adds value to our school?
Yes.
Oh.
It's a cool spot to hang out.
Would you go out there all the time if you could?
Yes.
Thank you, Wesley. You're very brave. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Carpenter for one last bit of information.
I'm Robin Carpenter. I'm a first grade teacher and the teacher lead of the Green Squad at West Lawn. And I think what's kind of unique about our area is we are so centrally located in the community that we do have students after school in the summer all year long using our area, looking at the story stroll, and I've gone by sometimes in the summer and seen families picnicking at the tables. So it's been a great resource for the whole area around West Lawn. And I'm just going to talk briefly about some of the things that we do. The story stroll, one of the pictures up there, we do change that out at least quarterly. Sometimes we have done that more than once a quarter, depending on what we feel should go in there. And right now it has actually been switched over to fifth grade memories. So when you walk through, the fifth graders get to walk through and read their favorite memory of being a student at West Lawn. So that's very special for them and for the parents to get to walk through and see the memories of what made West Lawn so special for them. Every year we hold Mulch Fest, and that's our big cleanup day in the fall. We get the trails ready to go, and the kids just love it. They love getting their hands dirty, putting all that mulch in the buckets and dumping it on the trails. Who thought it could be so much fun? But they just have a blast. And mulch ends up everywhere, and I always apologize to our custodians on Mulch Fest Day. Another thing that we have done in the past is some art displays. You can see that picture of some student artwork hanging in our new learning space. That's also something that we try to utilize, is not just the story strolls, but all the spaces around that area as well. And then finally, last but not least, we do use it for PBIS rewards as well. We were supposed to do a snowshoe hike. That didn't happen because the snow didn't happen. So we turned it into a winter hike scavenger hunt, and the kids still thoroughly enjoyed it. And teachers just use it on a regular basis. They can take their classes out there. I know teachers go out to do poetry or to do readings out there. So it's just a well-loved and well-taken care of space that we appreciate having and enjoy.
Any questions from the board?
Thank you, first of all, to all of you and, all your adults who are encouraging the children to learn and participate in all these activities. Do the children from the different schools get to recognize, just in the little area of Cedarburg, the different environments that each school has?
I think we do, do we share?
Yeah.
Things. We have met as green squads a couple times a year throughout, from representatives from each building. We have been able to share and calibrate some events like you see. We've gotten ideas from one another. Some of the spaces are a bit different and unique. So our students have not experienced the prairie at Thorson, but the church behind us does have a prairie. So some of the lessons and activities that Thorson does could be relevant to us in that way. So I think continuing to meet and calibrate will just expand that connection.
We also share a lot of our supplies. I know, we borrow, whatever school needs, whatever. We are really good about emailing each other. I let that get better. So we share all the supplies and materials so that, we all find it important. So we want to make sure that every school has the opportunity to make it special.
I just want to say to the students, you all are awesome. Your speaking skills, you were so good. You should be totally proud of yourselves. Grown-ups, you did awesome too. But I am so happy to see that you're learning how important it is to take care of our environment, because our environment's growing all the time, just like all of you are. And it's important to learn that if you take care of the environment, it'll take care of you. So I am so happy to see all the things you've accomplished so far.
I do still get the emails in my non-board member capacity for Green Squad, so I can affirm that they're excellent communicators with one another, and those slides definitely would have about 17 slides if you listed everyone that does do their best to come out and participate. But I just value each of you, your efforts. I do have the good fortune of being able to know what Parkview looks like. Someone's got to reach out to me about those benches though, so I gotta make some calls there. And also being able to use the space on Faith's property, and then visiting over at Thorson as well and seeing the good work there. So thank you so much for sharing more details, and kids, thanks for being so patient for your time to speak. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Again, feel free, you don't have to stay, but you certainly are welcome to stay for the whole meeting, but feel free, we will not be offended. The next presentation was supposed to be from the Cedarburg Education Foundation. Unfortunately, Christina Wagner, the president of the CEF, is not feeling well today, so we're going to push that back to another month. Board members, all of you have a copy of the 2025-26 Food Service Annual Report. This report was presented by our food service provider, Aramark, at the May 14th, 2025 Personnel and Finance Committee meeting. Kim Zabel, our Director of Business Services, is available to answer any questions if you have any. All right, no questions. You're off the hook. All right.
Okay, at this time, we did not have any people signed up for public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to speak? Okay, well then we will move on to recommendations. Dr. Clark.
All right. This evening we have a full docket of recommendations. In fact, I think this is the most recommendations we have had in my tenure here. So we've got 15 of them, but as mentioned earlier, almost all of them have gone through committee, so we'll see what we can do here. So the first recommendation is for the board to approve the 2025-26 food service annual contract from Aramark. In this contract, meal prices at all schools will remain the same, with milk prices increasing by 20 cents to 60 cents. This recommendation is being provided to the full board for approval by the Personnel and Finance Committee, and Ms. Zabel is here to answer questions.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I just wanted to double check on the milk. So the meal rate is increasing. The 20 cents to 60 cents is if someone is purchasing a milk separately or an additional milk, correct? So it's it's the a la carte price. It's not just what's in the meal. So it's still included in the meal price. Good. Yes.
That's all I was going to ask, was you to explain that.
And there will still be chocolate milk, correct?
Yes, but it will be under new guidelines. It will be reformulated chocolate milk, and you might see a slight difference, but that's federal government guidelines coming down. And I know that's important questions.
Kim, is the microphone on?
Sorry, decreasing the sugar. It's on. I think it's point it down to the little one.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I will entertain a motion. Regarding the 25-26 food service annual contract.
I will make a motion to approve the 25-26 annual food service contract.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes to approve the 25-26 food service annual contract. Thank you.
The next recommendation is for the board to approve the 2025-26 facility use fees as presented. No changes are being proposed to the facility use fees. This recommendation is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the Personnel and Finance Committee. And again, Kim is here to answer questions if you have them.
Questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion regarding the 25-26 facility use fees.
I would make a motion to approve the 25-26 facility use fees.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion to pass the 25-26 facility use fees passes 7-0.
All right, next we are looking for the board to approve the 2025-26 school fees as presented. No net changes to the school fees are being presented, although the charge for assignment notebooks in grades 3 through 5 will now be part of the school fees as opposed to parents paying for it separately. This recommendation was discussed at the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting. Again, Kim is here for questions if you have them.
Okay, otherwise I'll take a motion regarding the 25-26 school fees.
I'll move to approve the 25 to 26 school fees as presented.
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion to approve the 25-26 school fees passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, the next recommendation is seeking the board to approve the proposed long-term capital improvement plan as presented. This plan has been updated since the board approved it in January. The change is in the moving of the CHS elementary wireless access points from the 2026-27 year to the 2025-26 year so that we can take advantage of E-rate funding. This recommendation is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the Personnel and Finance Committee.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the long-term capital plan update.
I would make a motion to approve the long-term capital plan update.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? I would just like to add, this is where Kristen is a real pro in all of this, and she's definitely going to be missed. So, okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion to pass the long-term capital plan update passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, now part of the reason why we needed to update that plan is for this next recommendation, which is seeking the board to approve the proposal for Core BTS, from Core BTS for high-density wireless access points as presented. This proposal is to purchase 250 wireless access points that will replace the current wireless access points at all 5 of our schools. With E-rate funding, the maximum cost to the district will be no more than $219,000. This recommendation is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the Personnel and Finance Committee.
I would make a motion to approve the wireless access points purchase.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion to approve the wireless access points purchase passes 7-0. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, changing course a little bit. This next recommendation is for the board to approve the 2025-26 Audiological Services Agreement with Gateway Audiology, LLC, as presented. These services are funded with federal flow-through grant and will be billed at a rate of $156 per hour in 15-minute increments. And I believe this is the same company that we're currently using. Yep, and this is an annual agreement.
Is this a Kara one?
Yeah, this is. Kara's here if you have questions.
Was there any, for the grant money in general from the federal level, not specifically here, but in other areas, I've been hearing more or less that people are secure in receiving funds through 2025, but 2026 is a question. Is there any other, I didn't see any issue with this as it was presented, but I was just curious if there was any talk about this service agreement and specifically those federal grants.
So Kim can answer that. I can answer that too. And the answer,
whoever would like.
Yeah, right now is no. In that these are grants that are through the IDEA legislation, which would take Congress to make to do things to make it happen.
That's all I needed, actually. That's fine. Thank you, Kim.
All right, I'll take a motion to approve the 25-26, this is a hard word, Audiological Services Agreement.
So moved.
I will second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion to approve the 25-26 Audiological Services Agreement passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, the next couple will be Ally's. And this recommendation is seeking the board to approve the 2025-26 District Assessment and Testing Plan as presented. This recommendation is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the Curriculum Committee.
Okay, I will take a motion to approve the 25-26 District's Assessment and Testing Plan per Policy 2623.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? the motion to approve the 25-26 district's assessment and testing plan for policy 2623 passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, the next recommendation is seeking the board to approve the district education for employment, or E4E plan, for the 2025-26 school year. This plan was presented and discussed at the curriculum committee and is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the curriculum committee.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the district's 25-26 education for employment E4E plan. All those in favor? Oh, I need a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the district's 25-26 E4E plan.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion of the E4E plan for the 25-26 education for, well, the education for employment plan passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, continuing on, the next recommendation is seeking board approval for the multilingual learner plan as presented. This recommendation is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the curriculum committee and was discussed at the curriculum committee.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the multilingual learner guidebook. It's a guidebook, right? Or
Yes,
yeah, the guidebook.
So moved. I motion.
I will second.
Is the motion guidebook or plan?
Plan. Take a motion to approve, the multilingual learner plan as presented.
And I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just wanted to briefly thank Kara for working on this. A number of things that we vote on are like annual things, like the last two items that we voted were, they come to the board every year. It's kind of routine. This one wasn't. Kara took it upon herself to go ahead and update this and really make the plan more robust and detailed. She brought it to the committee twice. She had printed copies, just really impressed with it. And I think it's going to be a great resource for the staff and the students, as the district has quite a number of multilingual learners, so thank you.
Yes, any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the multilingual learner plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The multilingual learner plan is approved 7-0. Thank you.
All right, and now we're looking for the board to approve the HMH into literature English resources for grades 9, 10, and 11. The estimated cost for purchasing these resources is $141,000. This recommendation is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the curriculum committee, and Ally and her team has presented to the curriculum committee numerous times throughout the year.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the 25-26 CHS English 9th, 10th, and 11th grade resources.
I will make a motion to approve the 25-26 CHS English 8th, or 9th, 10th, and 11th resources.
Second.
Discussion? I guess I would like to say, you all did an awesome job in the curriculum committee meetings. Really, you worked very hard on, reading through the resources to determine which is going to be best for the students. And do you want to add what happened with the 11th grade resource?
Sure. So originally at the start of the school year, 9th, 10th, and 11th had identified 2 resources that they were going to pilot for this school year. Our 11th grade teachers, as they were going through their resources, because not all of them were the same, after their first quarter, about midway through their second quarter, which is through their second resource, they decided that they wanted to take on a third pilot, which was also into literature, because that was not previously identified for 11th grade for their curricular resource. So our 11th grade teachers actually took on a third pilot just to make sure that they got it right. So they were I think their wording was, we want what they have.
Kudos to our high school English department for taking on those pilots. Yeah, that's 11th grade took on the third pilot.
Yes.
And for those unaware, it's the same resource that Webster Middle School adopted last year. So now that will be extending into the first 3 grades of high school, which should be a nice transition. And I just wanted to add that we did have a discussion at the committee level on the long reads or novels or dramas, and those still will be coming
through the committee and just determining which long reads will be chosen for each grade, and we'll be discussing
Yes,
that.
so that we can align it to the approved resource.
Thank you.
And another interesting part I want to add is that there's an actual workbook with this resource where it's not going to be all on their Chromebook. They're going to be doing a lot of writing and carrying their workbook around. It's kind of going old school again. So, and the teachers are excited about that. Yes.
Anyone else? For this particular committee, it meets very often, and a lot of the items, as was mentioned, are recurring, don't necessarily change very much. I think it's been a benefit to have the ability for community members to see how the curriculum committee works, and right now we don't have that as an option. It's not available. So anyone that's tuning in now kind of just gets this quick overview. They don't see the measure of work that you do unless they're literally able to attend those committee meetings. And I think it was the last one where I was able to hear a part of the meeting and then was able to get into the room. And I just, a comment was made that I really wasn't sure why it was made regarding Dr. Ibram Kendi. And I think it was in relation to this particular item. So could I just get some clarity on what that was about? Because I heard the comment and then I walked into the meeting and it wasn't still on that topic. And either, a committee member, if they're open to sharing what that was about, or yourself, just so that I get some clarity on that, because I didn't understand where that was, what the intent was, perhaps.
So within this resource, there are a variety of extension resources. So as a part of the work that we did with the committee, everything was presented fully. So in the resource, there are kind of more required activities that go along with each of the units, but then there are extension activities and different optional extension ideas for students if they want to, or if a teacher were to take those on. That particular resource was one of them that was identified as an optional resource if you wanted to dig into something further. The conversation was, once there is an approved resource, our team will be working to really hone in on, so there's way more in the resource than we could ever teach in a year. So what is it that we need for our students, and how are we going to align those resources to make sure that what our students have is appropriate for our standards, for our students, for our classrooms. So similar to the long reads, once we have an approved resource, those materials will be coming back to be able for us to say, these are the, mini libraries of long reads that we are going to have for each of the grades that align with the resource to make sure that it's appropriate for our students.
Okay, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second to approve the 25-26 CHS English 9th, 10th, and 11th grade resources. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, changing from English to German, this next recommendation is for the board to approve the intercultural textbook by Wayside Publishing for implementation in German 1. The estimated cost for purchasing this resource is $6,000. This recommendation is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the curriculum committee.
Okay, I will take a motion to approve the 25-26 CHS German 1 resource.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor to approve the 25-26 CHS German 1 resource, please vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, this next recommendation doesn't normally come to the board, and this is a recommendation for our CHS Envirothon Group International for an international competition trip. Normally, when our high school groups win, and the Envirothon Group won Wisconsin, they just go to wherever they are. This trip, though, is out of country. It's in Calgary, Canada, and so because it is a foreign travel, it does need to come to the board for approval. So looking for approval for them to go and compete in July of this year. Again, this recommendation is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the curriculum committee.
I motion to approve the CHS Envirothon Group International Competition Trip for July 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, looking for approval of the Envirothon International Competition Trip July 2025. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you.
All right, this next recommendation is for the board to approve the 2025-26 Professional Educator Handbook as presented. This recommendation was discussed and is being forwarded to the full board for approval by the Personnel and Finance Committee. Tony's here to answer questions if you have any.
I will entertain a motion to approve the 25-26 Professional Educator Handbook.
I will make a motion to approve the 25-26 Professional Educator Handbook.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstention? Approval, it passes 7-0, the 2025-26 Professional Educator Handbook. Thank you.
This is our last recommendation, and that is seeking board approval for the full-time contracts for the 25-26 school year as presented. The board approved the vast majority of them last month. There were a couple that were left out, and so this is to finish up that.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the remaining teacher contract renewals.
I would make a motion to approve the remaining teacher contract renewals.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the remaining teacher contract approvals? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
That concludes the recommendation portion of the meeting.
All right. We have 3 reports left where Kate Netzel is, she is the board representative of the Teacher Engagement Council, and she is going to give us a report on the last meeting they had.
So the Teacher Engagement Council met on Wednesday, May 7th, and the topics discussed at that meeting were the staff handbook changes that we actually just voted on. Also discussed for the professional development planning process to just gain an understanding of the process of choosing the professional development topics. And then also the August PLC Institute was also discussed to just develop an understanding on the goals and procedures for that institute coming up in August. And we have another meeting date of October 1st.
Thank you. And Elizabeth Sherland is here to present a curriculum committee meeting.
Yes, we also met on May 7th, and our meeting was open to the public. And there are supporting documents for each of these topics within board docs for that committee meeting. There's, PowerPoints, documents of the curriculum recommendation, lots of great resources to find out more. But we went over the Envirothon trip that we just approved. Happy to say that that's a very low cost to the students. There was funding available from I think the state or some kind of other group to make that really affordable. The 25-26 assessment plan that we voted on, the German resource pilot, the German 1 textbook, we took that to the meeting tonight. An informational topic, the French exchange program. So the German exchange program, the GAP program, they've presented at the board before. So there used to be a similar program with the French, with a school in France, and they want to bring that back. So talked about French students coming to visit here in Cedarburg in October of 2025, and then Cedarburg students going to visit
that area in France in spring of 2026. We did discuss some questions around how many days of school the students would potentially miss. So that was one topic, and that will be coming back to committee in the future. Let's see, we did the English resource recommendation, which we approved for Into Literature, and the multilingual learner plan that was the second time at committee, which we voted on this evening. Next, the E4E Education for Employment annual review of that we voted on. And finally, the Webster Middle School homeroom resource progress update. Dan, Mr. Reiner presented from Webster, just a really helpful document with aligning where resources could be used that align with the ROAR matrix, and identifying what are some specific gaps that they see, where some specific lessons could be really useful for the students. And they're down to 2 resources: it's Leader in Me and Character Strong, and that will be coming back to committee again. And our next meeting is June 4th.
Thank you. And our final item tonight is from Kate Netzel, and she'll give a summary of the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting.
So we met on May 14th, and many of the things we discussed, we actually voted on tonight. Those included the Aramark renewal. We also had a food service annual report that was also on our agenda. Facility use fees, school fees, a long-term capital improvement plan update, and along with that, the district wireless access point. We discussed making that purchase now, which we also voted on tonight, and also the teacher handbook. In addition to those, we also had some informational topics. We discussed the 25-26 preliminary budget, and also had some discussion about academic sponsorship and naming right opportunities within our school buildings. We will have a future meeting date of June 11th, 2025.
Thank you. And that brings us to adjournment. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn. I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We are adjourned. Thank you.